Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into the highly anticipated debate between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris on September 10th. This debate marks their first live face-off. And with the stakes high for the upcoming November election, all eyes are on them. We'll explore potential strategies from both sides, key topics to be covered, and the impact of RFK's recent withdrawal from the race. Let's dive in. Here are the rules. September 10th by ABC News. Moderated by ABC's David Muir and Lindsay Davis. National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. Ground rules are the same as the debate between Biden and Trump. Muted microphones when candidates aren't talking. No live audience, no props, 2 commercial breaks. This debate is not just another political event. It's a critical moment that could shape the electoral landscape as we head toward November, with both candidates representing starkly different visions for America. How they perform could influence undecided voters in swing states. This is especially relevant given the current political climate where voter sentiment is highly volatile. Here are potential strategies for both candidates during the debate. Aggressive attacks. Trump is likely to focus on a combative style, targeting Harris's record and the Biden administration's policies, particularly on issues like immigration, inflation, and crime. Populist messaging. He may emphasize his outsider status and appeal to working-class voters by highlighting economic challenges and contrasting them with his previous administration's performance, positioning as a strong leader. Trump could portray himself as a decisive leader who supports Israel and emphasizes national security. He may criticize Harris for perceived weaknesses in foreign policy, claiming that his administration had a stronger stance on Israel. Critiquing Democratic policies. He might use the conflict to highlight what he views as failures of the Democratic administration, arguing that a lack of strong support for Israel emboldens adversaries. This could resonate with pro-Israel voters and conservative constituents. Appealing to evangelical voters. Trump could emphasize his commitment to Israel, appealing to evangelical Christians who prioritize strong U.S.-Israel relations. He may reference his administration's policies, such as recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, to bolster his credentials. Strong support for Israel. Emphasize unwavering support for Israel as a key ally in the Middle East, highlighting actions taken during his administration, such as recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Security and stability. Frame the Israel-Gaza conflict in terms of national security, arguing that a strong U.S. stance on Israel is essential for regional stability and countering terrorism. Critique Harris and the Democratic Party for perceived weaknesses in their support for Israel, claiming that this emboldens adversaries and leads to increased violence. Evangelical support. Appeal to evangelical voters by underscoring the biblical significance of Israel and the importance of a strong U.S.-Israel relationship. Economic and military aid. Highlight the importance of continued economic and military aid to Israel, presenting it as a strategic investment in U.S. interests in the region. Harris's strategy. Advocating for human rights. Harris may focus on the humanitarian aspects of the conflict, advocating for a balanced approach that considers the rights of Palestinians. This could appeal to progressive voters who prioritize human rights and social justice. Critiquing Trump's approach. She might criticize Trump's policies as overly simplistic or inflammatory, arguing that they exacerbate tensions rather than promote peace. Harris could position herself as a candidate who seeks diplomatic solutions and a more nuanced understanding of the conflict, highlighting bipartisan support. Harris could emphasize the need for bipartisan support for Israel while advocating for Palestinian rights, appealing to moderate voters who seek a balanced foreign policy approach. Humanitarian concerns. Address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, advocating for the protection of civilian lives and the need for humanitarian aid to those affected by the conflict. Balanced approach. Promote a nuanced stance that supports Israel's right to defend itself, while also recognizing the rights of Palestinians. Calling for a two-state solution as a pathway to peace. Critique of Trump's approach. Diplomatic solutions. Emphasize the importance of diplomacy and international cooperation in resolving the conflict, advocating for renewed peace talks and multilateral engagement. Bipartisan support for peace. Call for bipartisan efforts to address the conflict. Appealing to moderate voters who seek a balanced and effective foreign policy. Recent withdrawal for presidential run by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his endorsement for Trump add uncertainties to the race. Let us dive into the impacts for the race. Increased credibility among independents. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. endorsement could lend Trump credibility among independent voters who may be disillusioned with traditional party lines. RFK's appeal to those seeking an alternative to the mainstream candidates might attract undecided voters to Trump, strengthening anti-establishment sentiment. RFK's outsider status and critique of the political establishment resonate with many of Trump's supporters. This endorsement could reinforce Trump's narrative as a candidate who challenges the status quo, potentially energizing his base, diversifying voter base. If RFK's supporters, particularly those focused on environmental issues and health freedom, shift their support to Trump, it could broaden his appeal and voter base, especially in key battleground states. Impact on Democratic voters. RFK's endorsement may lead some disenchanted Democrats to reconsider their loyalty, potentially siphoning votes away from the Democratic candidate and benefiting Trump in the general election. Media attention and narrative control. The endorsement would likely attract significant media coverage, allowing Trump to shape the narrative around his campaign. He could leverage this attention to highlight shared values with RFK, further solidifying his position as a unifying figure for those disillusioned with both parties. Potential backlash. Conversely, RFK's endorsement might alienate some traditional Republican voters who view him as too liberal or outside the party's mainstream. This could create a divide within the Republican base. In summary, RFK's endorsement could significantly bolster Trump's campaign by attracting independent voters, enhancing his anti-establishment image and potentially diversifying his support base, while also posing risks of alienating certain factions within the Republican Party. Additional insights on Trump's positioning in light of RFK's endorsement. Leveraging RFK's image. Trump could utilize RFK's reputation as a maverick and an outsider to bolster his own image. By aligning himself with RFK's critiques of the political establishment, Trump can position himself as a candidate who challenges the status quo, appealing to disaffected voters, appealing to environmental concerns. RFK's focus on environmental issues may allow Trump to soften his stance on certain topics, potentially attracting voters concerned about climate change. He could highlight any policies or initiatives from his administration that align with environmental protection, framing them as part of a broader commitment to responsible governance. Focusing on health freedom. RFK's advocacy for health freedoms could resonate with voters skeptical of government mandates, particularly regarding COVID-19 policies. Trump can capitalize on this sentiment by emphasizing personal liberties and criticizing overreach, which may attract voters who prioritize individual rights. Building a coalition. The endorsement might help Trump build a coalition that includes not just traditional Republicans, but also independents and moderate Democrats. By presenting himself as a unifier who respects diverse viewpoints, he could broaden his appeal in key demographics. Counteracting negative perceptions. Trump may use RFK's endorsement to counteract negative perceptions among some voters, portraying himself as a candidate who can attract support from across the political spectrum. This could help mitigate concerns about his polarizing image. Targeting key demographics. Trump could specifically target younger voters and those disillusioned with mainstream politics by aligning his messages with RFK's themes. This strategy could be particularly effective in urban areas where traditional Democratic support is strong, but may be vulnerable to shifts in allegiance. Narrative control. The endorsement provides Trump with an opportunity to dominate media narratives. He can frame discussions around the endorsement to highlight his strengths and appeal to a broader audience, potentially shifting the focus away from controversies or negative press. In summary, RFK's endorsement could significantly enhance Trump's strategy by allowing him to appeal to traditionally Democratic voters, particularly those disillusioned with the establishment. By leveraging RFK's image and addressing key issues like health freedom and environmental concerns, Trump can position himself as a unifying candidate capable of attracting a diverse coalition of voters. Kamala Harris's positioning in response to RFK's endorsement of Trump, reinforcing Democratic values. Harris may emphasize her commitment to core Democratic values, contrasting them with Trump's policies. By focusing on issues like social justice, healthcare access, and climate change, she can reaffirm her alignment with the progressive base, aiming to retain traditional Democratic voters. Addressing health freedom concerns. In response to RFK's focus on health freedom, Harris could highlight her administration's efforts to ensure public health and safety, framing her policies as essential for protecting communities. This approach could appeal to voters concerned about health issues without alienating those who value personal freedoms. Counteracting crossover appeal. Harris might work to counter any crossover appeal that Trump gains from RFK's endorsement by directly addressing the concerns of disillusioned Democrats. She could articulate a clear vision for how her policies differ from Trump's, emphasizing the importance of voting for candidates who prioritize equity and inclusion, mobilizing the base. The endorsement could serve as a rallying point for Harris to mobilize her base, framing it as a challenge to the Democratic Party's values. She could encourage supporters to unite against what she portrays as a threat to progress and equity, highlighting Trump's controversies. Harris can leverage the opportunity to remind voters of Trump's past controversies and actions, positioning him as out of touch with the needs of everyday Americans. This strategy could help solidify her support among those who view Trump unfavorably. Engaging with RFK's supporters. Harris might also attempt to engage with RFK's supporters by acknowledging their concerns while redirecting them toward her own platform. She could emphasize shared values, particularly on issues like government accountability and civil liberties, to create a dialogue, focusing on unity and progress. In her messaging, Harris may focus on themes of unity and collective progress, contrasting Trump's divisive rhetoric. By promoting an inclusive vision for the future, she can appeal to voters seeking stability and progress over conflict. Media strategy. Harris could utilize media appearances to directly address the implications of RFK's endorsement, framing it as an opportunity to clarify her positions and reinforce her commitment to democratic principles. This proactive approach could help shape public perception positively. In summary, Harris's response to RFK's endorsement of Trump will likely focus on reinforcing democratic values, countering Trump's appeal, and mobilizing her base. By highlighting the differences between her policies and Trump's, she can work to maintain support among traditional Democratic voters while engaging with those disillusioned by the party. The upcoming debate on September 10th is poised to be a pivotal moment in the campaign, particularly with the backdrop of RFK's recent endorsement of Trump. Trump is likely to capitalize on RFK's endorsement to frame himself as a unifying figure who appeals to a broader audience, including disillusioned Democrats. Expect him to emphasize his outsider status and critique the political establishment, aiming to energize both his base and independent voters. Harris will likely focus on reinforcing democratic values and contrasting her vision with Trump's policies. She may highlight issues such as social justice, healthcare, and climate change while addressing any potential crossover appeal Trump gains from RFK's endorsement. The debate may feature a combative tone, with both candidates seeking to assert dominance. Trump might employ his characteristic confrontational style, while Harris could adopt a more measured approach, aiming to maintain composure and clarity. Expect critical discussions around health policy, economic recovery, and civil liberties, especially in light of RFK's focus on health freedom. Both candidates will likely attempt to sway undecided voters by presenting compelling narratives around these issues. The debate could significantly influence voter sentiment, particularly among independents and undecided voters. Harris's ability to effectively counter Trump's narratives will be crucial in maintaining support for the Democratic ticket. In conclusion, the September 10th debate will serve as a critical platform for both candidates to solidify their positions and sway undecided voters. With the dynamics altered by RFK's endorsement, the stakes are high, and both Trump and Harris will need to navigate the debate strategically to maximize their appeal. Please comment your views who will win this crucial debate. Please don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe our channel. Thank you for watching News Digests.